The EduTechGuys present a conversation from our live coverage of FETC in Orlando, Florida on Tuesday, January 23rd, 2018. Enjoy the program.
Okay, so I'm Eliana Ferreira. I'm the CEO of Skills Global. We are a software company based in Southern California.
Yeah,
cool.
Awesome.
Yes.
That's very cool. So what brings you to FETC?
Well, we are here mostly to learn from from all the school districts and our potential customers, really.
Sure.
But mainly to put the word out about something that we have decided to do for students that have been affected by the hurricane season.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. So we are, like I said, a software company, and most of our products are geared towards children with autism.
Okay.
However, we do have a product that is for general ed, and it's in the behavior space. So this product is helps educators, and that may be teachers, school psychologists, and sometimes even the behavior professional in the school. And it helps them to figure out what is the function of some maladaptive behavior.
Okay.
And when I say maladaptive behavior, I'm talking about could be something simple as non-compliance in the classroom, there's disruptive, as well as aggressive behaviors, or sometimes even self-injurious behaviors.
Sure.
And because we know that these behaviors have a function, usually they may have actually the source of those behaviors may be things like trauma, displacement, changes in routine.
Sure.
So that is obviously what's coming out from the hurricane season. So when we were thinking of how can we help these students, as we all around the country, everybody was getting together, right, as Americans do, right, getting together to help students, to help those families affected. We as a software company thought, how can we help? Should we put together packages and send to Puerto Rico? How can we help?
Right.
And it just felt so right to see, well, we have a product that can actually help these children as they go back to school and start showing behaviors, right? The maladaptive behaviors. How we have a solution for that. So that's how it felt, just natural, pretty much the obvious thing to do. It's like we can help exactly with the product that we produce, right? And so we are making that product, which is called Skills Behavior Intervention Plan Builder, available completely free of charge for a year, because those maladaptive behaviors may take a few months to show up.
Sure.
So and oftentimes what happens is that educators or even families may not even realize that those two things are together, right? That the maladaptive behavior 3 months from now is connected to the changing routine or displacement from before. Right. So that all it just came all together. It's like, well, that is how we can help. So we're working with Digital Wish, a nonprofit company, as we know, and so it's available there for any school in the country that was affected by the
Awesome.
The hurricane.
So the progressive level of the software of the piece, it allows the educators to help them first define it and diagnose the issue, and then it works them step levels through and provides, I guess, a specified course for the students to help them through this behavior problem.
Yes,
this behavior
exactly.
modification.
Exactly. So it helps first define what is the function of the behavior, because the source of the behavior may be the trauma, right?
Sure.
But what the child may be needing is, say, attention, because they feel neglected.
Right.
Parents are just too busy with something else. The classroom is totally different, and what they are accustomed to, the level of attention perhaps is no longer there.
Right.
So, it helps you define first that that was the function of the behavior. And there's different functions, right? But let's say that the function is attention. So now the product is going to help the educator figure out, okay, what is where's the list of appropriate interventions, as we call it, right? Or things that we should be doing to first avoid that behavior to even take place, and what would be the replacement behavior that should take place.
Okay.
So things like, if you know that every time before, I don't know, recess, this child is throwing a tantrum in the classroom, you know that's the pattern, which the product helps you figure out that's the pattern for first of all.
Right.
And then, it may recommend, okay, so you may want to 15 minutes before recess, before it happens, to go and give some attention to that child, right? As well as teaching them that when they need it, they can ask. But at the same time, as much as practical as it may be, to ignore when the behavior does happen,
Sure.
because negative attention is also attention.
Right.
So, that kind of thing, when teachers are so busy, right, in the classroom, trying to deal with even multiple kids, and we're talking to a lot of people here in Florida, talking about how many students they're getting from Puerto Rico,
Sure.
right?
Yeah.
So when they're so busy trying to adapt to this new reality, having something that is just going to guide you how to do this faster and more efficiently, right? No matter how common sense it may sound, it's a real help. So that's the feedback we are getting, and we're getting a lot of interest just by talking to people in the hallways.
So does the software help the educator, like you're talking about, like the pattern of being, before recess? A lot of times when you're in the situation, you don't see the situation. You don't quite understand. You don't see the pattern. The old expression, you don't see the forest for the trees around you, right?
Yes.
You don't see the tree for the forest around you, let alone the trees. So does the software allow or help the educator identify the fact that, this actually seems to happen every time before,
Exactly.
Recess in this particular example?
Yes. And that's exactly the starting point.
Oh, okay.
It starts right there. First, start asking plain English questions about, does this behavior happens when someone is looking at the child? Does it happen when someone is not looking, which is a different story,
Sure.
right? Is there a specific time of the day? Is there other people in the room? So it helps guide you to think of all the possibilities.
Sure.
So that you don't have to think from scratch every time that you have to figure that out.
Well, and I would think if I were in the classroom and I had this a situation I was trying to wrap my head around and keep what hair I have left, by looking at some of those questions, there are probably things that it's asking me that I really hadn't even considered before.
Exactly.
And now all of a sudden I'm aware of things to look for. Like you said, is it when someone looks at the child? Is it when someone isn't looking at the child? I may have been looking for when Susie looks at Johnny, that's when it happens. But what about the opposite? When does it happen actually not when Susie's looking at Johnny, but when Susie's not looking at Johnny anymore?
Exactly.
Is that when it kicks in? And I may not have thought about
This
that
makes us
before.
more aware. Makes the
Yeah.
teacher more aware of their
aware of-
surroundings
yeah.
and how to deal with it.
Exactly.
I think the part that I love about it is that right now it's very handy for the influx of students, the children coming in from Puerto Rico, displacement, because it's a large number, and we're going to see a large number of these problems.
That's correct.
But this piece also goes to the fact that we can actually work with that child whose home burned down, or
Yeah.
whose parents divorced or split, or there's
Yes.
been a death in the family. This piece is far-reaching, not just for this large number of kids, but it can be used every day.
That's correct.
Throughout the school system in every classroom.
Yes,
That's
that's
awesome.
correct. Yes.
That's a beautiful piece.
yes, thank
And
you.
so, are you presenting this, or is this something they can come
Or
to
do you guys
your
have a
booth
booth?
and to talk to them about?
No, we are not exhibitors.
Cool. You're
We're not
just making the
yeah,
rounds.
We're
Oh,
just
you're just
making-
here-
Yeah, we're here to learn, like I mentioned.
Okay,
Yeah,
good. Okay,
yeah.
good.
So, and we're talking to people like in the hallways
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
with
Well,
you guys. So.
as they say,
As we have said,
everything
and as
happens
many
in the
that's right, as
hallways.
many people have talked about.
Yeah.
A lot of the learning is happening right out here. A lot of the
Yeah.
This is
conversations.
the networking. That's why we're all about sharing your story.
Exactly.
That's what we're here to do,
We appreciate
and
that.
expanding your narrative because that's the key right there.
Yeah, exactly.
that
So
is-
This is
just-
awesome.
Yeah, just think about this. Like if we had done with so many of us in the U.S. did was like, let's put together a care package and send it to Puerto Rico or
Yeah.
to those affected by the hurricanes. So that's our care package basically.
Yes, yes, exactly.
Right.
That's awesome.
So that's our
okay, so if
contribution.
people want to get in touch with you, reach out to you, how do they do that? Where can they find you?
So they can go to digitalwish.org.
Okay.
And over there, they can look for skills,
Mm-hmm.
behavior intervention plan.
Okay.
So, and that's how you can find, and then they can apply for, letting know that, hey, we're being affected, we are interested, and, the same day they should be able to hear from us directly from skills. And the team, including, because for all the paying customers, we also provide free training. And we are doing the same thing for for this donation, so we include that as well.
Awesome.
That is awesome.
Okay.
Man,
Thank you for coming
so
by and
much.
sharing
You're
your
welcome.
thoughts.
My
This
pleasure.
We learn. You would be surprised what we learn here.
Yeah.
We
Yes.
meet so many interesting people, and we learn so much about education that we never knew.
You've been listening to a recorded conversation from EduTechGuys live coverage of FETC 2018. For more information about EduTechGuys, visit edutechguys.com. And thanks for listening.